Hello everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're doing well, guys. I've got an update for you all regarding Todd Boehly. He's come out and he's been speaking to Bloomberg. For those of you who don't know who Bloomberg are, it's basically like a channel that talk a lot about business and investments. So you're not going to hear Todd Boehly speaking to the Chelsea fan base directly. We've already asked about that. We've had the vivid seats controversy, etc. Like, none of it's going to be addressed directly by what we're seeing. So we're going to have to take what we can from what he says when he speaks to Forbes and Bloomberg and all these other people. And he's had quite a bit to say, to be fair. It was about an 8-minute interview that he did that was there's public information that I've seen. And about 3 or 4 minutes was talking about Chelsea. He then spoke about the NFL, and he's obviously invested in a cricket team as well. So here's what he said in that interview. We're just going to break it down. If you look at the evolution of the team, we have been aligned on what we're trying to build. It's a team that's young, a team that's got long contracts, and all those things were new. If you follow what's actually happening and don't follow the shiny light, there is core stability, there is a long-time theme, and we are executing a plan that ultimately have Chelsea where it belongs. We are sitting top 4 in the table right now. First of all, that is not a good way to start. We have Chelsea where they belong. What? We're 4th. And we're 5 points from 10th. We don't have a striker. We don't have a competent goalkeeper. We only have one left back. Our manager sucks. No ambition. What are you on about? We have Chelsea where we belong. I mean, it's ridiculous. And in fairness, the lady that was interviewing Todd Boehly did say, well, you know, is Chelsea worth more than now than they were when you bought them? Because you haven't won any trophies. And she did stick it on him, to be fair. So I give her credit for that, the lady that was interviewing. And he said that he honestly thinks Chelsea are worth more than when they originally bought the club. Now, again, why he thinks that is, maybe it's because of the fact that it's a more profitable club. Who knows? I don't know. But I just think that it was a very silly comment. First of all, to say that he's got Chelsea where they belong, that's when you know you can't take him seriously. The second thing is when he talks about the fact that the club's worth more. I mean, more in what sense? Maybe to a private equity firm, but not to any owner who wants to buy a team with ambition, not to any fan base, not to any audience that you're thinking, oh, who should I support? Why would they pick Chelsea right now? Why would you want to pick Chelsea? The guy's constantly talking about growing the Chelsea brand, expanding our international audience. You're not going to expand much the way you're going about it right now. I can assure you the Abramovich method works a lot better in that regard. He was also asked about the ownership struggle. And he said, we have to think about the long term, what we're trying to accomplish. We have a big stadium development opportunity that we have to flush out. And I think that's going to be where we're either aligned or whether we ultimately decide to go a different way. But I think that's what's been written and that's what's been talked about. There's much more drama than what has actually happened. So he's trying to calm down the sort of the media stories that we hear about a rift between him and Boehly, which I don't believe for 1 second, by the way. I do believe there was a rift, at least. I don't know if it's still going on. And when we talk about the stadium development as well, he is very open with the fact that he's excited for that. But it's got to happen at some point. And it's not only Clearlake that he has to agree things with, it's the CPO as well. And I honestly think if the CPO have a choice of relocating or staying at Stamford Bridge, even if that means you're going to get 20,000 less seats and you can't do much after, I think the CPO are going to stay exactly where they are. I really do. And whether that's right or wrong, you can decide that for yourself. But Boehly's clearly motivated by the idea of the stadium development. He's also come out and said with regards to that, we have 16 to 20 years to figure that out. Obviously, inside of London, it's really complex, but it's not as if we're building something in the middle of a rural environment. So we have a lot of constituencies to make sure that we care about. Certainly, the Chelsea fan base is one. But long term, I think we're going to be building something new, and we'll figure that out. Why lie about caring about the Chelsea fans? Why lie about it? I mean, look, who knows? I mean, at least he talks a good game, doesn't he? But he does say some nonsense as well. So what we've taken from this so far is he thinks the Chelsea are in a stable place. He thinks we're where we belong, which is 4th, 5 points from 10th. We're moving in the right direction. He thinks that Chelsea are actually worth more now than when he originally paid for the club 2-3 years ago. He also come out and said one of the frustrating things as Chelsea owner is the Premier League has become so competitive. But one of the great things about being in the Premier League is it's gotten so competitive. So the depth and the quality of the teams are going unlike any other team in Europe or anywhere in the world. Now, I had a conversation with a few people about this because we speak about the Premier League and we look at other leagues like La Liga or the Italian league, for example. And although Todd, he says the Premier League's getting more competitive, maybe there's an element of truth to that. I don't actually fully disagree. But the Premier League as a product is actually worse this season than I can remember in previous years. Some of the football is so boring. And then when you go and you watch the Spanish games, I watched Barcelona versus El Clasico a week or two ago, and I was just stunned with the quality of the football and how technically gifted these players are and how positive the style is as well. And I do feel like in England, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, it may be more competitive. As I said, that's not necessarily wrong, but I don't think the product is better than what it was 5 years ago, for example. I don't think the product is better. I don't think that it's more entertaining. And I don't think that fans are getting more money's worth now than they were in previous years. So that's something that also could be looked at. But again, that comes down to management, the type of players we bring in, the type of style. I think that also goes a little bit past the ownership, but obviously they are, a factor that contribute to that as well, because they're the ones that hire these people. And then just finishing off, obviously Boehly was speaking about having these assets and the marketing power of owning sports teams, because we know he's invested in the Dodgers and the Lakers as well, a basketball team and a baseball team, and obviously he's got a stake in Chelsea. He just bought stakes in a cricket club as well, if I'm not wrong. He spent about 40 million. So he's going to be investing in more sports teams, building up that portfolio. But that doesn't mean anything to Chelsea fans, because we don't really care. We just want to see our team being successful. Now, I will say this. If you look at the beginning of Boehly's tenure and Clearlake's tenure, we finished 12th, then we finished 6th. If we finished 4th or 5th in the Champions League this season, it's hard to argue against the progression, because on paper it's obvious, right? And you pick up a trophy as well, even if it is the Conference League. But then you go on to year 4 and you say, we need to be challenging for Premier Leagues. We need to be challenging right at the top of the table. And the way we're going about this, we can certainly make strides in the next window. We know that there's players we already own that we can bring in, but it's a case of, are we going to prioritise those players that we already have, or are we going to prioritise profit and use that to then recycle the process and start again? So a lot of question marks behind the ownership and Boehly as well. I mean, there's only so much you can extract from 4 or 5 minutes of footage, but at least we're finding some stuff out. Like, the guy's not. He's open with regards to Bloomberg and his investors. So whether that means anything to you, I leave that open in the comments. But I do think that what he said is ultimately quite disappointing. It doesn't show any ambition And you don't look at that as a Chelsea fan and think, right, I like what this man says. He's going to lead us in the right direction. But we'll have to see, won't we? We'll have to see. So let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Do you agree or disagree with anything I've said or anything Boehly said? Are you happy with what he said? Do you think he's do you think he's chatting nonsense? I think he's saying a lot of nonsense, to be honest with you. But he says one or two things you can kind of understand. So let me know, guys, and we'll catch up from there.